Hi, my name is Sylvain, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of SESAMm, a French company that works with Asian clients in the field of artificial intelligence and sustainable development. Today, this presentation will focus on the use of artificial intelligence in order to extract relevant analytics on companies, countries, and political people in order to evaluate their positive impact on society and in general on the UN's sustainable development goals. Let me first say a few words about SESAMm as a company. We're a fintech company that was founded in 2014 and that now counts around 70 people located on various sites worldwide. Our main team is based in France and we have offices in New York, London, Tokyo, and Tunisia. We were focused on one specific aspect of artificial intelligence, which is called natural language processing. Natural language processing corresponds to algorithms that are reading text automatically in order to understand information. So we are basically extracting billions of articles and messages from the web and automatically understanding which ones correspond to sustainable development goals mentions or to positive impact of companies based on this web data by reading this content automatically. SESAMm works with clients around the globe, mostly with large asset managers, banks, insurance companies, and private equity firms that are looking for these types of analytics in order to better understand the positive impact of their portfolio. This includes companies in Asia, for example, in South Korea with Kyobo and insurance companies, or in Japan with insurance and asset management companies such as Tokyo Marine or Asset Management. For each of these clients, we compute relevant analytics related to ESG or sustainable development goals, for example, and we provide this data in order to incorporate it in financial decisions. The tool that we are using in order to perform this task is called TextReveal. TextReveal is our proprietary natural language processing engine. It's composed of one of the largest data lakes in the world, a data lake of more than 15 billion articles and messages, extracted over 13 years of history, and with more than 4 million sources of data. So what is this data exactly from which we are extracting relevant SDG and ESG information, so environmental, social, and governance information? So this data first corresponds to financial news, which is linked to publicly traded companies, which, for example, disclose their sustainability goals or which are exposed to governance, social, or environmental scandal. They also correspond, for example, to NGO information, as we have access to NGO websites, and we also have access to other types of information, such as social media, where consumers can express their feelings regarding the positive impact that a specific company has on the world. So this data lake is huge. It's 10 to 100 times larger than our competitors in the space, and it enables us to track multiple different themes related to sustainable development goals and ESG impact on a large number of companies. Overall, we track more than 5 million different companies, public and private companies in all countries, whether it's in Europe, in the US, or in Asia. And we track specific brands, specific C-level, and specific subsidiaries associated with its company. So it means that we can associate a company with its positive impact, not just at the highest level of the holding company. We can also understand whether the subsidiaries of the companies or the CEO of a specific company has a positive impact. Think, for example, in the US of Tesla, in the context of Elon Musk. Elon Musk is automatically associated to Tesla as an entity linked to the company, and Elon Musk as a person has potential positive impact related to other topics of interest, such as SolarCity, which is one of Tesla's subsidiaries, but also related to some of its other corporations, such as SpaceX, for example. So we have a knowledge graph of information, which enables us to link all of the different companies, countries, and different factors with their links and their sub-entities in the world. We then have a set of natural language processing algorithm in order to process the text data corresponding to each company. So we perform sentiment analysis. For example, if a company is associated with an environmental impact, we want to measure whether that impact is positive or negative, and whether people may express surprise or fear in terms of emotion. We also have specific ESG and risk analysis metrics and SDG algorithm in order to automatically analyze the content. The way we are performing this task is we are automatically measuring the distance of a specific article or a specific message with a context of interest. For example, the first goal of the UN SDG would correspond to a specific semantic context, which we can vectorize using artificial intelligence, and where we can measure the distance between that vector for the specific context of interest and the article or message. This way, we are able for every single article or message corresponding to a company or a country to measure whether it corresponds to positive or negative impact and whether that impact corresponds to one specific sustainable development goal. We provide this information to clients as dashboards, APIs or flat files depending on the needs. So fundamental teams or more traditional teams will typically consume this in a visual way through dashboards, while our more quantitative clients or data science-oriented teams are consuming these analytics using APIs or flat file and incorporating them in their own model. For example, an insurance company can use that type of data in order to systematically incorporate the notion of positive impact as part of its own rating model. So this is really the tool that we are using in order to generate these analytics that I will show you in the next parts of the presentation. So SESAMm has many different activities related to generating analytics based on textual data and based on natural language processing. One of the specific aspects of what we do is generating analytics related to sustainable development. So we track all of the 17 sustainable development goals using artificial intelligence on more than 5 million companies, and we track also the 169 sub-themes that correspond to specific topics and that are included as underlying topics of the UN SDG. So we leverage artificial intelligence to track the contribution of public and private companies to these goals in a systematic way, in a timely way, so with the ability to generate analytics every single day for every single company and to have an unbiased view of how the company is seen from the perspective of its positive impact. The advantages of leveraging artificial intelligence in order to compute these scores are related to the timeliness of data that can be updated very frequently, to the coverage. It's possible to track any number of companies, public and private companies, and to have a global view of their impact in the world, and also to the way this data is generated. It's generated with a view that is more driven by what is being said about the company, by its community, by its investors, etc., rather than only companies that is information that is reported by the company and that may be biased by the company's ownership. So we generate dashboards, and I will show you some examples of our dashboards related to sustainable development. So the first dashboard example that I wanted to show you is a dashboard where we track the global contribution of companies or other entities to sustainable development goals at a high level. So I'm using SESAMm's knowledge graph in order to track information related to a specific company, in that case, Samsung Biologics. So in order to do that, I'm simply searching for the company inside the knowledge graph and can immediately find the company. You see that our knowledge graph, for example, contains many sub-entities that are associated with Samsung and also many private companies or other types of entities. For these, we can then automatically identify the subsidiaries, the CEOs, the founders, and any information that is relevant to it. TextReveal as a system is then finding all of the articles that correspond to that company and automatically classifying them into these sustainable development goals. As the company here is associated mostly with healthcare topics, we see that it is mostly associated with goal number 3, which is good health. It means that the company has a significant positive contribution to the positive sustainable development goals number 3, which is participating in the good health of today's society. In addition to that, we can have full transparency of how the scores are computed, as SESAMm systems also provides underlying articles that are visible in the data. So it's possible to actually take a look at what is being said in the context of Samsung Biologics. And we see, for example, that Samsung Biologics has issued its first annual sustainability report, which corresponds to its alignment with sustainable development. So in this example, we are looking at a relatively large company that is publicly traded. We can also do the same type of analytics for private companies. And in these examples, we are looking at Feeds AI, a company that is privately owned and that is more of a growth stage company owned by the private equity firm KKR. So we see that we find significant volumes of data related to that company, and that this company is associated mostly with themes related to education and to reducing inequalities and innovation. So the system again has automatically classified all of these articles and messages and has issued a score without having to ask any information from the company, and with a simple search that is performed automatically. What we immediately see is that these articles are related to how Feeds AI is using responsible AI. And so we can see that Feeds AI, for example, is aiming at reducing inequalities through innovation in responsible artificial intelligence tools. So using natural language processing, we have been able to generate high-level scores on individual companies, both public and private companies, and to really gather some factual data on how these companies are perceived on the web with regards to their alignment with sustainable development. The same information can be used in time series so as to generate daily scores, but also in portfolio monitoring. For example, an asset manager that would like to monitor its entire portfolio with regards to their alignment, the alignment of companies with regards to sustainable development goals, would be able to construct these types of visualization and immediately to see how each company is exposed to sustainable development goals and to establish a ranking. So here you see a ranking on the Dow Jones companies, which corresponds to US companies, and with regards to how they are aligned with sustainable development goals. And these goals are aggregated on environmental, social, and governance scale. And last examples of what we do in this context is we are not limited to analyzing sustainable development goals in the context of positive impact. We can also understand which companies are bad players in the field and are exposed to controversies related to environmental risks, social risk, or governance risks. So in this last example dashboard, we see information related to the company Wirecard. Wirecard is a company, a European company that was exposed to a massive fraud scandal, a massive 2 billion fraud scandal, which led to the bankruptcy of the company and its delisting. We see immediately that the profile of risk of the company is very abnormal and that the company is very much exposed to governance risk with a categorization of very high risk. We see that over time, the risk has significantly increased. The company went bankrupt in June 2020, but we see very large alerts generated as soon as January 2020. So 6 months before the bankruptcy, we were already seeing that systematically generated natural language processing scores would enable us to detect that risk in advance. And we see here some of the topics related mostly to fraud due to the accusation of the company. And we see here that Wirecard is exposed to corruption, investigation, fraud, etc. And we can see each underlying article and we can read it directly from the platform and really have transparency over these scores, which are not black box and which are really transparent and can be understood also from a human perspective. Going back to the presentation, please note that these types of scores can also be applied not just to companies, but also to entire countries. In these examples, we see how China is exposed to sustainable development goals in a positive way. And for example, how China has made an announcement related to the eradication of extreme poverty in its population. And so we see that China is making strong announcement with regards to goal number 1, which is no poverty. And in particular, goal number 1.1 and 1.2, which is related to diminishing poverty. We can also do the same type of analysis in regards to public persons and politicians. And here you see an example of Joe Biden's exposure to goal 5 and goal 8, which are gender equality and good jobs and economic growth. So using natural language processing, we are able to compute these types of analytics on a very large scale, on millions of public and private companies, on countries, or even on political people, in order to understand their positive or their negative impact, and using AI in order to generate quantifiable metrics that can be used by financial institutions or by corporates in order to evaluate their portfolio, their investment, but also their supply chain, for example, and their partners. So these types of analytics are used in a number of ways by our clients. And these are some examples of testimonials and awards that have been given to SESAMm due to the quality of these artificial intelligence-driven indicators that we provide to a number of clients in Europe, in Asia, and in the United States. Among the application, we see portfolio monitoring, due diligence use case, ESG ranking, scoring of companies, and also the ability to use these analytics to be incorporated in credit scoring of clients or of portfolio companies. I hope this will be insightful, and this will give you some ideas of how artificial intelligence can be used to contribute to sustainable development goals in the context of ranking and scoring companies or other entities with regards to these sustainable development goals. Thank you very much, and feel free to contact SESAMm at inquiries@sesamm.com or info@sesamm.com, and to join our team and to look at our website, sesamm.com. Thank you very much.